you are the first master mariner from Slovakia.
Today we're setting sail with an inspiring trailblazer from the high seas. Meet Captain Ivana, the first ever female master mariner from Slovakia.
Yes, I became the first female master mariner of Slovakia. It was very difficult at time for us. I'm not really sure if I was fully prepared. It cost me so much of hard work, dedication, looking for the job.
People get disheartened when the first job application is rejected.
Started to talk with my other colleague about the Antarctica, about the navigation in ice. There was a really one situation in the middle of Atlantic, literally for 4 days, and we were not moving at all. Traditional sailing, that was we were half a day, we were under the engines, and half a day, then we stopped the engines, and then we were sailing. The whole ship experience was interesting, very exciting as well, because again, something completely different.
It's like Pirates of the Caribbean type feeling.
And that was the time when I stayed at home for around 9 months. Not earning, not employed for already 9 months, so I was sleeping on the mattress on the floor in their accommodation.
Get ready to hear her incredible journey as Slovakia's first woman at the helm. A true captain of courage, leadership, and adventure. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the KSN show. Today's episode is a very, very special one. We've got Captain Ivana, who is from Slovakia, and she's the first master mariner from that particular place. She has guided us about her experiences of tall ships, that is sailing vessels, cargo ships, as well as cruise ships. She's going to debunk and decode a lot of myths about cruise ship industry. Along with that, she's going to also tell us how her expeditions to Antarctic and Arctic has shaped her life. This is a fun episode, and those who are aspiring seafarers or perhaps aspiring women seafarers must watch this and share it with all the ones, all your parents, so that they also get a clarity. Bringing to you Captain Ivana all the way from Slovakia. Captain Ivana, welcome to the KSN show, ma'am. You know how I got to know about your profile? I was myself looking at cruise ship industry for Indian seafarers, and suddenly on Instagram, your page popped up. I was like, wow, ship staff captain is there. So let me directly ask her if, I can get a job. But that's how it started. But ma'am, what really got me to this point that I invite you is that you are the first master mariner from Slovakia, which is not a seaport. So a lot of people will get inspired, definitely, especially women, and they are really curious. Like yesterday, I was telling you, the Instagram questionnaire was bombarded with questions. So we're gonna dwell into that. But first, ma'am, how are you feeling in India?
First of all, thank you very much for an invitation. Sure, we got in touch a couple of months ago, I think, when you were asking me about the cruise ship industry and so on.
Yes.
The next, what you spoke about, yes, I became the first female master mariner of Slovakia, which is an inland and landlocked country without sea.
Right.
And your next question, how do I feel in India?
Yes.
In India, I feel more and more home, I have to say.
Wow.
Well, I live here right now for 3 months. I'm married to an Indian man, my former colleague. We met on board on the cruise ships. So it seems like we are settling a little bit here.
Right. So let's do one thing. Let's go down to that time when you were perhaps 18. And why did you choose to come into this profession? Since you said it's a landlocked area, there's no seaport. I don't think you even went near a port, if I'm not wrong. So that 18-year-old girl, why did she decide to come here?
We just have a river, So we have a river going through our capital city. So only what I knew during my childhood, it was a river, ships. Some of the reputed companies now also on the market, which I did worked also later on the cruise ships, ocean-going ships. I'll correct you a little bit here because
Yes.
we do not have the maritime college we don't have any colleges, any universities, maritime colleges, universities in Slovakia.
Okay.
So my journey actually have started when I was around 21, if I remember correctly, and I moved to Poland to study at the maritime school. First, I finished a grammar school in Slovakia, in my home country. I then proceeded to pursue my studies at the Faculty of Mass Media Communication. So I have finished and completed a bachelor degree in mass media, actually in Slovakia.
Okay.
And this was a time that somehow I didn't fit, or that field did not fit very much to me. And during my first year on that studies, I found already an opportunity to study at the Maritime Academy in Poland, where one of our Slovakian captain was sending Czechoslovakian students at that time, Czechs and Slovakian students, to maritime school or maritime academy in Polish city of Gdynia. So that was the time when I finished my bachelor degree in Slovakian academy, in Slovakian university. I finished my mass media diploma, and in the same time, I packed my stuff and I moved to Poland. I learned the Polish language and I settled that for a couple of next years and graduated in maritime school.
Wow, ma'am. So from mass media to just by chance getting the opportunity to go into Poland. That's when you were saying about the language barrier, ma'am. So did you know English at that time when you were in mass media? Or you learned it later during the progression to the sea life?
Very good question.
Yes.
I must say that English in our countries, East European countries, it's not maybe that good, or at least it was not the education, or the English generally was not very much advanced.
Not used also?
Not used. We were
Okay.
not really using English. We were studying. We were learning though. I studied English since my kindergarten, I must say. So since I was like 5 years old.
Yes.
And then I continued throughout my elementary school and the high school and even the university in Slovakia while I studied mass media, where I studied also French language, also whole my college, and the Russian language. But when I came to Poland, so first thing was to learn Polish, because whole study, whole academy, all the exams and everything we were having in Polish language. So I had to first master my Polish, which is again the Slavic language. It's similar, but there is many of technicalities, and you just don't speak Polish like this, right? In the basic life, maybe as basic phrases, but to study a maritime academy suddenly, and many words were even new for my Polish classmates actually. So that was to master Polish first, and then to figure it out. What does this mean in Polish language? What does that mean in English language? Having the pictures, never ever before seen any merchant ship, so the ship's parts and everything.
Everything in Polish, like even the maritime studies?
Yes, all maritime studies, everything was in Polish. We did have English, maritime English as a subject. But everything, all the exams, everything, also even on the maritime office for the final exam for COC, had been done in Polish language. So basically, how did it look like? If you remember, we all remember IMO dictionary, right? And then for me, coming from Slovakia, speaking Slovakian language all my life, you're coming there and you have one page of Polish phrases and another page of English. And you are trying to figure out, what does this mean in Polish language? What does this mean in English?
Wow, ma'am.
I just memorize. I have to say many times I didn't even have a clue what does that mean. I was just memorizing.
Right now, I'm just wondering how many languages do you know now? It's like 3 languages we already... Are you also learning Hindi?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm having my Duolingo app installed.
Yeah.
I have just passed my 1 year, 365 days batch, and just a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
But it's just the phrases. Yeah, I'm very
Fantabulous.
confused about that because Duolingo is teaching me
Yes.
Hindi,
Okay.
but here you speak Marathi, guys.
Marathi, now,
so,
yeah.
so I'm also again, Hindi, Marathi. So like the dictionary, what is this? What is that?
But yeah, ma'am. But fantabulous, ma'am. Really, really challenging first to have two languages which are different and coming to learn from Czech. Oh, by the way, I had a question. Czechoslovakia. Generally, we keep it as an Indian. I remember we used to say Czechoslovakia in our Atlas competition. So they're two different countries, or is it just one?
Two very different countries.
different
yeah.
countries,
Not only
okay. That's a
India,
big-
but the whole world is still keeping it as a Czechoslovakia.
Yeah,
We split
yeah.
it 1993. So it's actually...
It's a good
some
knowledge learning
time,
for all of us. But yes, ma'am. Okay. So, ma'am, from getting your COC in Poland, how did you transition? Like, how was your... When did you step on board? Like, how was your first experience on board?
I started to work, or I started my cadetship on the local Polish ferries.
Okay.
It was very difficult that time for us. I mean, for everybody, I would say, but specifically for the women seafarer or cadets, future
Right, ma'am.
cadets, especially for the women cadets coming from abroad, different country than Poland. Itself, it was very difficult for us to find a company that would accept us.
Okay.
It was after the financial crisis in 2008. So I was looking for the cadetship in 2009 or 10.
Right.
Cadets were not accepted worldwide, maybe engine cadets that time, but deck cadets not much. And I got an opportunity to work actually on the small, very small local Polish ferries. It's like a bus from city to city.
Right.
I spent there for a couple of months, so I
Yes.
started to collect the
experience.
sea time and the months that I had to spend on board.
Right.
And later on, my first real experience and,
Yes,
and the
on a-
cadetship started
Okay.
on board the chemical oil tanker ships, actually. So
So you've been a part of the cargo fleet.
I was, yes.
Wow,
yes.
so
and
many
I'm very
things.
happy and proud of that
Yeah?
I did this. I did
Wow.
two contracts. I
contracts.
did 9 month contracts, a 9 months contract as a deck cadet.
Okay.
After that, I came back to school. I completed my studies, and already with COC junior officer license, I went back to the same company as an ordinary seaman. So I still continued to work on deck and chipping and painting whole days and so on.
Ma'am, you went as an OS, like the
Yes.
OS rank.
Already with the license.
Okay,
in hand.
first I have to dial it back again. How was the experience on the ferries, like, and then going to an ocean-going vessel? How was it like? Did you like the sea experience, like the whole ocean thing?
I liked that. I mean, of course, the difference is huge, right? There
Yes.
were small ferries. I was practically living on land. I mean,
Right.
I was accommodated on the ship. But every day we just we just had the rounds around the port, of Gdańsk or port of Gdynia, or sailing
Right.
from Gdańsk to Gdynia, the 45 minutes cruises and so on. We were 4 of us on board. I was with the captain, bosun, and
Yeah.
engineer, and me. So my duty there
Yes.
on the small ferry were, except of like, what would you normally expect? I was checking the tickets for the guests. I was serving in the buffet. I was
Okay.
cleaning the saloon and so on. And
Yes.
then,
Yes.
that's what I said, real seaman's
Yes.
life came.
Yes.
And then I embarked on the chemical oil tanker, as I said, in Panama.
Okay.
I have very interesting memories and experience.
please.
The very first ones. I mean,
Please share
when
it,
I
ma'am.
flew from Poland, I flew
Yes.
from Warsaw, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
to Panama. I was not completely alone. I remember that I flew with one of the electricians that was joining the same ship as me. We were stuck in a hotel for like 5 days, I think.
In Panama?
Yes, I mean stuck. We were
It's-
waiting for
we were waiting for the-
embarkation, right?
right,
Which is
right.
quite normal,
It's normal.
for the cargo ships. But I never experienced that ever seen, because for the cruise
Yes,
ships,
yes.
the
Yes,
cruise ship has a book
right.
spot for every single day. So you go today, tomorrow we're on board, right?
Right. And
yeah.
and like when you flew out of Poland, was it the first time you were going international?
Oh, no.
No?
We were traveling a lot with my parents when I was a kid,
Okay,
you know,
okay.
and also to Africa, to different countries and cultures.
Right,
I
ma'am.
mean, that's
So
why
you-
I would say I'm also open to the different
So you didn't
cultures
feel
and-
that homesickness at first?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
I don't know if this
Right.
is good or bad or
No.
positive or negative sign, but I barely feel a homesickness or loneliness on board, especially now on the on the cruise
Yes,
ships,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Because it's completely different. You have so many people around you. You have hundreds and thousands of crew members, guests, and it's really difficult to
It's
feel
like a
lonely.
city only, if I'm
Yes,
But we'll
and,
come to
yeah.
them. Why I asked you this question was because when the first time I flew for my first cadetship, there was a sinking feeling, you know, a homesickness. Yes, I had traveled inter-India, like within the states. But, you know, as a 20-year-old boy going suddenly abroad alone in an unknown place, never been out at sea. For me, it was a big challenge. But it's good to know that for you, it was good. But, you know, majority of us, which I have spoken to, feel that sinking feeling. So that's why I wanted to ask you. Oh,
Well, if I can just,
Please.
you have to remember that what I mentioned to you, that I have studied already the mass media.
Oh, yeah.
And the mass media were on the other side of the country, my studies. So I
Okay.
already left. I left when I was 19.
Right.
And I moved to other side of the country in the west part of Slovakia.
Okay.
Close to Vienna and Austria already. That's 500 kilometers from my home. So
Okay.
I was already living 3 years out of home before I joined the
Got it, ma'am.
study right in Poland.
Yeah.
There I was a couple of years alone on my own.
Yes.
And then I flew to
Cool.
Panama.
So, like, ma'am, then when you went to Panama and you first time stepped on the gangway of a cargo ship, how was that, ma'am? Please run us through that. Like, if you remember. Yeah.
I remember very well. We were looking for my ship, literally. So
Okay.
we came from hotel after 5
Yes.
days,
yeah.
finally.
Yeah.
So every morning with the electrician, we came to the reception. Some news,
Yes.
something
Oh, yeah.
from the agent. You know, you're
Yeah,
just
yeah. Just-
asking.
Let's go. Yeah, I want to go.
If I remember back now, like it was so strange actually. Now it is so strange for me because I remember that it even prevented us to go out, right?
Oh, so you were in the room.
Yeah, in the room. It was a rainy season there also, I remember. So it was raining almost whole day, but I did not mind actually. And I didn't care. When I go somewhere, I want to travel even on my own, right?
Right,
In
right.
my private life.
Absolutely.
The electrician didn't really want it to or was not that much interested, but I was telling him like, come on,
Yes.
let's go out, let's go
Yeah.
out. But how can we go? Because we don't have information. And I said, no, it cannot be like that. That we're going to sit here whole day, you know?
Yeah.
So at some
Yes.
point on on this 5th day, I think we went out. And when we came back to hotel, already agent was waiting for us and he took us to the
gangway.
ship,
Ah, yes.
to
The
the
ship, yeah.
to the ship. But he took us to the car. It was already the afternoon. It was getting dark actually. So I remember us just sitting in the car. I don't remember exactly everything, but and it was my first time, right?
Right,
So
right.
I didn't know everything what exactly is happening.
Yes.
But we were sitting in the car. I think in the gate of the port, suddenly somebody took our passports from us, right? Went to some cabin there.
Some immigration things.
But I
Yeah,
remember that,
yeah.
okay, I don't have my passport
Yeah.
now. Okay, what to do?
What's happening?
Not so stressed, but it was a strange feeling.
Yes.
And then we continued and we were put on the boat, on the small
Okay.
boat, because
It was a transit.
the ship was at the anchor
Oh, okay.
because they were transiting to Panama Canal from one side to
Right.
another side. That's
Right.
why we were waiting for them. And we went to the boat, and I remember the local gentleman
Yeah.
lighting,
Yeah.
with the flashlights coming. We stop on the one ship.
Yeah.
And
This is not the one?
We were just looking at this ship, and suddenly
Yeah.
we moved to another one.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know what is happening. Asking my colleague, okay, we are looking for our ship. So it's like, okay, is this normal? Yeah. So stopping here, flashlight, finding a name on the ship's hull,
Wow.
and I think a third or fourth ship was us
Well, you-
finally. And then, there was a combination ladder prepared. So I was, climbing up the pilot ladder, I think, and the accommodation
Yeah.
ladder then. And I came on board. And the cadet was waiting there for us, Polish cadet.
Okay.
I remember that, and he took us just directly to CCR. So that was my way through through the catwalk, I think, up
Yes.
directly into CCR, where already there was a Polish female chief officer.
Oh, wonderful.
waiting.
I was coming there that, were you the only one on board, the only, the female on board? But good to know that.
I was after 2 months. So first
Okay.
2 months, she was there with me.
Right.
It was a very nice move, a bold move from my company.
Yes.
And I'm really thankful to them
Yes.
until now that they were thinking to send me on one of the 2 ships where they were having chief female officers.
Female officers, yeah.
So there was one ship where there was a German female officer
Okay.
and another ship where there was a Polish female officer. So they decided to send me there.
Okay.
Even
good.
though there was already one cadet, I was the second one. So yeah, I've got somehow there. So for the first 2 months,
Was good.
I really had the support.
Yes.
She was very helpful. She was really nice, very young. She was 29 years old that time, chief officer already.
Wow.
She was promoted when she was 27. So very smart girl. And
Yeah.
she taught me a lot that time.
Yeah. So I think that 2 months would be a good transition from you from a ferry to a cargo ship. And when she left, did you feel some kind of awkwardness on the ship?
Maybe for a while,
Yeah.
but later I just got too used to. I got too used to that because still she was a she was an officer, chief
Right.
officer. She was having her standing the watches 2 times per day for 8 hours per day on the bridge, plus doing her duties.
Right.
And so we mostly met actually after the duties, right? And I was having my duties on deck mostly. I have to say, most of that time I spent on deck,
on deck, yeah,
shipping,
as a
painting,
cadet,
and
I have to go to
tanks
that
and everything. Yeah.
the maintenance part. Good, ma'am.
And then when she left, I think it just naturally transited into the situation that I'm alone here. I have my colleagues here, Filipinos and Polish.
Okay.
Was a Polish officers that time, Filipino ratings, and I worked whole day, every day with the Filipino ratings on deck.
So did you enjoy the first tenure on the cargo ship, or did you miss going back to the ferries by any chance?
No, definitely not.
No?
I knew that the ferries, it was just kind of like a emergency option that time. The ferry were very small for me to continue my cadetship on that ships because of the gross tonnage.
Yes,
So
yes,
I had to go on the bigger
Otherwise,
ships.
it's a
it would be-
limitation.
so that my sea time would be counted. I had to go on the bigger ships anyway.
Okay.
So from the beginning, I considered that ferry just like
Just
a fun
like a-
part,
like a
let's
fun
say.
part.
Yeah, not really the part of the
Right,
real
ma'am.
jobs that is coming, yeah.
Is there an experience you want to share from your cadetship days which you still remember? Like it was perhaps maybe tough for you, or maybe it was too good for you. Something from that time.
From the cadetship,
Yeah.
you mean? On the
on the
ship.
tanker ship. Any?
I'm not really sure about exact experience,
Okay.
but what I want to say and what I think the whole experience that I could experience that life on the cargo ship, that again was like real seaman's life, right? Not that we don't live a real seaman's life on the cruise industry, right? But we all know that it's
still you've got
huge difference.
Huge difference. We'll come to that, ma'am. I really want to touch that topic in cargo versus cruise, but.
If I can,
Yes,
one
please.
thing only that I'm having many colleagues from the cruise industry that never experienced the cargo ship life and cargo ship contract, let's say, which I'm not, again, sure if this is something negative or positive, but I'm very grateful and thankful that I could experience that as well, that I could live that rough life, right? That I could experience my pirate watches on the forward mooring station with the lights, and that I could experience the fishing on the aft stations, and all that rough parts, all that rough life, which
experience.
it's a nice experience.
So, ma'am, in India, most of the cadets, even the women cadets, are mostly going on cargo ships. So, any advice you have for them while going for the first cadetship on a cargo ship? Anything which you did right or did wrong, which you want to tell them for preparing them mentally?
The advice would be to collect as many information as possible about the job itself, about the job, about the life on board, about the life, especially on board cargo ships, I would say. Because if I'm looking backwards, if I'm looking into the past, I'm not really sure if I was fully prepared, if I was fully aware of that. What is all that life about? I don't think so. I actually didn't. Yeah, I'm sure that I didn't have. We were sitting in the school. I decided for that career path because it was something which sounded so excited. It was something different. It was something very new, not what many people are doing, especially in my country. But I was not really aware of life at sea. From the perspective of daily life at sea, right? We learn at school so many things and technicalities and here and there, engineering and ship's equipment and navigation equipment and so on. But a bit of that human part and the daily life on board, what we as a young people can expect, I think this was a little bit missing at that time. I'm not sure how education has changed in 15 years. But
it's being very honest now, in front. Nothing much has changed, and especially Indian education, not just maritime, the entire education system is still in the very old school, old-fashioned way of teaching. Like you said, you had to rote learn the language. We are also rote learning stuff which is irrelevant, being very honest. So, like you said, the human elements of, as you said, is the requirement is required to be taught. And of course, that can come only in the experience while you're on board, right? So as you mentioned, that grasp as much knowledge while you're on board. And of course, adjust to the lifestyle.
I would also say that the young people who decide to attend the maritime university, like should do that before they do so, right? So, because I think that is also not big issue that the people will decide about I'm going to pursue a career at sea because maybe they see white uniforms, they see the cruise ships, maybe that is a dream where I want to be in a couple of years. I'm traveling, I'm working, and so on. And then I start my study. So, and I go for first year, second year, and third year, and the years are passing. You're studying something, again, technicalities and so on. And how many years must pass until you actually literally step on board, right? And then maybe after, I'm not sure in every country is different, let's say after 1 year, 2, 3, or even 5 of studying, of putting the time into the education of the field that you have chosen because you were so excited 5 years ago, and then you step on board and during a couple of first months and during your first contract, maybe, potentially, you will find out that this is not for you. Right?
And it's a big setback.
That setback, that must be a disappointment of, you see, of losing the time of my life, let's say, having a diploma from something that I can't use right now. I can't pursue the career because I'm homesick, because I'm seasick permanently. I was having a couple of, I would say, classmates who quit after coming back from the cadetship, you know.
Okay. Yeah, of
For
course.
example, that's why I'm saying that, because I experienced that on my friends, in my friends' cases, classmate cases. We started, I think, around 100 young students.
Okay.
Basically, we were, some of us, some of them not so young. We were pretty much mixed.
Pretty much same.
Kind of mixed. Ages mixed.
Okay.
I was having a classmate who started as a 19 years old, as you said.
Right.
Then like me, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I was having classmates who started in their 30s, in their 40s, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a very mixed, very, actually, it's inspirational when I think about that now, you know.
Of course.
And then, so there was a 100 at the beginning. And then first of them quit during first weeks in the school, just having trainings, basic safety trainings, and firefighting and life-saving here and so on. And they didn't like simply the studies, and so they quit during for a couple of first weeks, couple of first months. And then there were classmates who did not complete their cadetship at all because they decided this is not for them, so they didn't come to the final year of the studies.
Right.
And then at the end, I think we finished, I'm not really sure, but I would guess maybe a half from 50, from 100, maybe 50 of us finished in the year when I was actually finishing and graduating.
Right. All right. So, ma'am, let's go back now to after finishing your cadetship, then you had the COC. The first ship you went as an officer? Was it a cargo ship or was it a cruise direct?
Directly cruise
Direct-
ship. Yes.
How
but
did you find it?
Again, this
Yeah.
was just, somebody would say luck or and this and that.
Yes.
I was having many my male colleagues, who were saying that that's because you are a female and they just want a females, and so on. But it cost me so much of hard work, dedication, looking for the job.
Yes.
So when I finished my OS, Ordinary Seaman contract, in the company where I work on the board tankers.
After COC?
Yes, so I already had a COC in
Okay,
hand,
okay.
and I went back on tanker ship
As
as an
an
ordinary
OS.
seaman for the next 6 months contract. The promotional path in that company was very long, and I needed to collect I don't really remember how many of promotions really from each master to actually become an officer. And so it was from cadet I needed to become an OS, from OS I needed to become an AB, and from AB then the officer. And it was a little bit of disappointment in the moment when during my OS contract, I received 2 promotions, and one of the captain promoted me to 3rd officer, and second one promoted me to AB. So in that moment, I was a little bit, I would say, disappointed. And when I was counting still, so how many of next 6 months contract I will need to do with my COC and license, right? Working hard, really, and really being very determined to the job and everything.
Yeah.
I disembarked from the contract,
Okay.
and I was 3 weeks ashore in Slovakia, and I received a call from the company who the crewing manager told me that, Ivana, we would like to embark you again back in 3 weeks, right? So
that's a very small...
or in a week. So I know that I should be having 3 weeks vacation.
Yeah.
And I remember
Not the
how
best.
many thoughts went through my head. And I was thinking that, okay, if they would offer me a contract as an officer, I'm going to accept it. And the gentleman on the other side said no, it's an ordinary seaman contract. And that was a time when I said, thank you very much. I think I will try to look for something else. He was talking to me. He asked me if I'm sure, because that I'm aware that the situation is difficult and I'm female and I'm not Polish and this and that. I said yeah, I'm pretty much aware and I'm going to try that. And that was the time when I stayed at home for around 9 months. Around 9 months, I was just
Looking for...
sitting at home, let's say. That is how my family have seen it that time. But I was literally sitting at home, having the one computer, another computer open. I was just having an IT center there in my living room.
Yeah.
And I was sending an application by application every day, day by day. I was bombarding my school that time, a maritime academy, trying to contact them, asking them if they do not have any opportunity in the other company, potentially as an officer. Nothing was happening for 9 months. I was already considering different career. I already directed my path or the view to the aviation. So I started to attending the castings and interviews for a cabin crew. Can you imagine? So
Wow.
interview by interview for the biggest the airlines, which was happening very often because I wanted to travel. I didn't want to literally change my life,
Yeah.
I went from being potentially being a seaman and suddenly I should find some stable job in Slovakia in the office. I did not accept that at all. So I was looking for an alternative, which would really be at least a little bit similar of what I've started here.
Right.
And I was accepted as a cabin crew, and I was already going to join the
airlines,
course, the safety course,
Basic.
which normally takes 6 weeks and so on. So I was about to join when I received the invitation from one of the biggest, I'm not going to name it here, crewing and technical agencies with office in Poland.
Okay.
For an interview for the recruiting manager, for the job of recruiting manager.
A shore-based job.
A shore-based job,
Okay.
So I decided that I'm going to go, that I will give it a chance, that maybe if I'm going to be sitting there in the office as a crewing manager, recruiting manager, I will be closer to the, still close to the industry, still working in the industry that I started, that I wanted to. And potentially, you know, I knew that they are working with many of cruise ships and so on. I went to the interview. I traveled to Poland. I spoke with the managing director, the crewing manager, head of the crewing. And the lady, while speaking to me, she said, like, Ivana, nice to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. But we would not like to hire you. We would not like to have you here. Because you belong to sea.
Wow.
Because you should go to sea and you should continue and you should still try and so on. And we will let you know if there will be any opportunity. So I was already in Poland, in Gdynia. And what a situation all happened. I was having my friends there. I was living with them for a while, not earning, not employed for already 9 months. So I was sleeping on the mattress on the floor in their accommodation. That they accommodated me there for a month, I would say. And then I found on the one job portal job offer for third officer for a sailing ship.
Okay.
For the tall ships, for the biggest commercial tall ships in the world. And I traveled from Gdynia to Gdańsk, which normally takes like 20 minutes, but it was in the middle of the winter. It was in January, minus 20 outside. I don't know if you guys can imagine.
No, but yeah.
Minus 20 outside. Yeah. It was blowing the wind here and there. I was like completely, you know, fully covered and traveled there for an hour. I arrived to Gdańsk into the old historical building. I went upstairs and I knocked a very small office and I said like, hi, hello, I'm here and I want to apply for this job.
Wow, man.
And the gentleman just looked at me and it was very shocked because normally you just send an application,
or
you just give a call. He said like, you could just send. I said like, no, I wanted to come here directly in person and here are my documents and so on. So he had a look on all my documents. Yeah. And he was, you know, like, I don't think there is much chance, but thank you very much for coming. And I'm going to process all your documents and I'm going to send it to the owner. Right. And we will let you know. So I said, thank you very much. I left. I don't remember which feelings I did left with.
Yeah, I was going to ask,
But I came back to Gdynia to my friends. And while laying down there on my mattress, I received a message that I was accepted.
Wow. You went on a tall ship?
And I went on a tall ship. So this is how I started my career on the cruise ships. And this was my very first contract as a third officer. Directly, they accepted me. That time I flew to Costa Rica.
Ma'am, how was the tall ship experience? Because it's very rare to have someone with that experience.
Tall ship experience was interesting, very exciting as well, because again, something completely different.
It's like Pirates of the Caribbean type feeling.
A little bit. You know what? We were having so-called sailaways. So all the time when we were leaving the port, there is a sail away. And there is a Pirates of Caribbean song in the background. And we are setting the sails, you know, and this was a show for our guests.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's something new for all of us, in fact. But yeah, so it was literally you were doing the movement of the vessel via the wind and like...
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
With the sails?
Yeah, I was working in 2 companies with tall ships, onboard tall ships actually. Yeah. One of the companies were having the hydraulic system and hydraulic booms where you don't really need to climb physically and to set the sails. Yeah. So that was operated by me, by the officers from the bridge, just pushing the buttons and the sails go out and then pushing the button and sails go in, furling the sails back. And then in the other company, a German company I worked on, there was a real traditional sailing. That was we were half a day, we were under the engines and half a day, then we stopped the engines and then we were sailing. We were sailing and it didn't really matter. It was not really always the direction of our destination, but we just needed to calculate everything, you know, how to calculate the passage plan. You check how many hours still you have to destination, what speed do you need, and then we stopped in the place. And even though if we went the other side, it was just for the feeling, also for the experience, for the guests, even for us. And we were sailing for some 4 or 5 hours, and then we take the engines back, and we were running through the night.
You know why I asked you? Because whenever we say, I'm going back on a sail, I'm going sailing. So for a normal person, the context is, oh, a sail, a boat with a sail, and going that. But actually, right now in our industry with the merchant ships, it's the propulsion with the engine. So this is something absolutely new, and I mean, so good. I mean, you have such great experience, like cargo ship, tall ships,
Variety,
cruise
yeah.
ship, big variety, and ferries itself. So do you still miss going back to the tall ship? Like, do you have some adrenaline or thrill when you're on a sailboat, on a sailing ship?
Adrenaline
Yeah.
with sailing ships,
Yeah.
not really. Well, there was one situation when we appeared in the really strong storm.
Yes.
It was a one, actually, I would say. I worked on sailing ships for a couple of contracts, 5, I think, for 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And there was a really one situation in the middle of Atlantic where we got stuck in the storm for 4 days. And that was literally for 4 days, and we were not moving at all. And that was really the situation that I was changing all my colors. I was like from white to violet to green, And
Right.
At some point, you come down to your you can't barely move on the deck itself. Everything is flying away. All the sails we were having broken completely. We were trying to
booms,
lash our lifeboats, right, and double
right.
lashing and triple lashing and everything, because this was a little bit like sideways.
Right.
Lifeboat and so on, and then you are having passengers and guests who are coming on the deck, on open decks, to enjoy, and you are,
And you're like,
you're trying to manage the situation.
Yeah.
Actually, there was not much to manage, right? But you just go, but
Yes.
you have the issues with yourself and with your 2 watchmen, which are both standing on one wing and another wing.
right.
And then you are having guests that pop up there, because this is why he came to transatlantic voyage on the sailing ship,
And a storm.
So that was my,
Yes.
like fear in the eyes.
Right.
If that's safe for him, is there something going to happen to him? I remember there on the sailing ship, I didn't used to allow the guests on the
Yes.
like very forward of the ship, and on the bowsprit part, and this area I
Right,
always
right.
closed it, because I felt responsibility, right? I told myself safety first, yeah.
Safety
and they were
first,
always waiting. I was 8 to 12 watch, and they
Yes.
were always waiting for
Oh,
a second officer at 8 o'clock
Oh.
who will let them go, It was my first contact,
Yeah,
and really
yeah.
I didn't, I needed to just process everything what is happening.
Yes.
And that time in the middle of the storm, really, then everything was flying even inside of the ship. The hotel manager was calling very often on the bridge. I at some point already I didn't know what to actually
say.
tell him and
Yeah.
what to reply to him. I mean, this is what it is. We have to deal with that, because all the furnitures, all the cutlery, plates,
Right.
everything was broken, everything was damaged and destroyed. And you come to your cabin, you want to take a shower. You can't even take a shower. I remember being in the shower,
Yes.
literally, and it was banging me from side to side, and I was crying there. I was just like down there, and I was crying in that.
Yeah.
It was really uncomfortable situation.
Wow. I mean, not wow, but that's one experience. And being on a sailboat, did you have engines that time? On that ship?
That time, we
Yes.
were trying,
Yeah.
basically, I honestly, I don't remember. Yeah,
Right.
I believe we were trying
Yes, but
to manage in
something.
every way that we could, but we were
Nothing.
just waiting simply until this will be gone. Yeah,
I think
and it happened at some point.
that you and I both can relate heavily when the nature's forces take over. Then I think I've been on like one of the biggest ships, yet it is just tossed around like a doll in bad weather. So
Yeah.
being on a tall boat, I think it must be even more scary.
Yeah, with the cargo ships and so more powerful ships and
Yes.
everything, like at least you would still have this like
some movement.
forward movement,
Yeah.
right? But we ended up in the situation there we were literally not moving at all.
Yeah.
And the one fun fact, also an interesting fact, that we were on the way to Hamburg
Okay.
to the sailing boat parade.
Oh, so it was like a festival? if I'm
Yes,
not-
of the on the Elbe, on the river
Elbe
Elbe,
River, yeah,
when
yeah.
all of the biggest or the most famous sailing ships are
Showcased?
presenting and showcase exactly. So we came there with
The destroyed inside.
damaged sails, but we took, before entering even the Elbe, we took additional rigger. We had the riggers then on
rigger
board.
is what,
Riggers
ma'am?
are the
Sorry.
ones who are taking care of the
rigging.
mast and all the rigging and all the sails. Sailmakers, riggers, that's how we call these positions there.
Right.
So we were taking additional one, and the boys managed to do at least something, at least some repairs, so that we looked at least a little bit presentable once
Right, yeah,
we
yeah.
reached there, you know.
Wow, but thank you for sharing this. Like, this is such a great experience which we are hearing. Wow. So from the sailboats, how did you get into the cruise? I thought I'll ask you from the cargo, how did you get into cruise? But there's an intermediate. Yeah.
But there was the
Yeah.
commercial cruising, you know.
Yes,
So
correct.
that is already considered two companies,
Yes.
it's 2, 3, the like biggest, let's say, on the market or the most famous.
Yes.
Which are considered as a cruise liners. That's are the commercial cruise liners. So that's also the cruise company. So I
Right.
would consider that as a cruising already.
Okay.
But to the cruise ship itself,
Yeah. The big ones.
how we all know them.
Yeah.
Well, I have never worked in the biggest mega ships in the world,
right.
of the biggest corporates in the world,
Right.
which we have on the market recently.
Okay.
I worked whole my then continuing career on the middle size boutique ships with a more like the family atmosphere,
Right.
not really thousands and thousands of crew members, but hundreds, let's say. And on the ships which were having 120 crew members, 250 crew members, then 500, let's say. And now I'm back in the ship when I have 120 crew, I think, and 100 something guests.
Right, ma'am. So what does the route generally you have in these like small, middle-sized cruise ships? Are they doing intercontinents or is it like within a continent?
No, so we generally sail worldwide. They have a so-called worldwide. But in 2015, when I left the sailing ship company, then I applied to the other company, crewing company, which was actually the one who I went to Poland for the
As a recruiting
officer, which they told me that now you belong to sea.
Oh.
So
Yes.
I got hired by them. I did an interview, competency interview, all the tests, simulator examinations, everything what they required from me. And I passed that all and I was accepted. And then I was waiting for my assignment. Nothing was happening. So of course I waited a lot in my life and career before. So I was continuously bombarding them back with emails and hello, it's me again. something new. Please some update. There is the opportunity here and there, because I could see on the other portals in the meanwhile, right? That the same company is looking for a second officer, third officer.
Correct.
So I said, what about this? What about that?
Yeah.
Somebody was promoted internally. There was a cadet who was pushed as an officer. There was a third officer who was promoted as a second officer. But I was asked, I always like, look, I found this. What about that?
I think, ma'am,
Directly, straight.
You know what I learned from this? Really, it's like see, people get disheartened when the first job application is rejected. But learning directly from you is a big inspiration to aspirants, because in India, market is not very good for, if you're not placed in a company, then you have to wait maybe 2 years. But what we can understand from US, you have to keep pushing. And like you said, 9 months is a long time without earning. So it's like you're not alone. This is what I wanted to share from this, that you're not alone. Even in Europe, such things are happening, not just India. So this is what I gauge from it, that try, and it clicks. So it's a fabulous way of explaining it to youngsters. So thank you for sharing this first of all.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
That's exactly the thing, that it was a 9 months of, but not of the waiting, right? That was 9 months of literally. I remember that my family was a little bit like, you're just sitting there on the sofa, I remember that until now, actually, but they didn't really understand and know what am I doing. My mother told me a couple of years after that, actually, that now I understand what you have been doing, that time. And that was a little bit like the moment of satisfaction that, now you understand.
Yes, and now she must be so happy.
I believe so, so proud. She was with me on board a couple of times.
Them?
Yes,
wow.
because I have with life on the cruise ships, right, coming already, and with the position coming some privileges also. So I had the privilege. I still have the privilege to take a family. Each company has the
Own
different policy. You can take one person or even two persons for a certain amount of time, amount of days. Some companies set up for the cruises, some company for the days, literally, or for months, and some companies having for captains, staff captains, even unlimited time, so they can spend with you whole your contract. So my mother with sister enjoyed 3 times the cruise with me. My brother went once with me. I took my friend twice also with me. So yeah, that was...
When you were going through this, I was just wondering, how is life on a cruise ship? Like now you being the staff captain, but before that as a second officer, how was life on a cruise ship? How was the day like?
Well, the life, again, was so completely different, right? If I came from the cargo ships, then I went to sailing ship, and then in 2015, I moved to cruise ships. So I didn't move to like just the regular cruise ships, cruise passenger vessels, but I moved to cruise expedition ships. So I have entered the cruise expedition industry in that 2015, where I flew to Fiji that time.
Fiji.
So after doing for a couple of years dual season of Europe and Caribbean on the sailing ships, this is like typical, I think, for the yachts also, the so-called dual season of the Europe, Caribbean.
Okay.
After a couple of years in these areas, I was actually quite happy to change. And when I have seen the expedition ship, like...
How was... I just recollected, have you been to Antarctica?
Yes.
Let's go there.
Come to that, yeah. Yes, exactly.
Where did it start from the journey to Antarctica?
So it started with embarking in 2015 of my first expedition ship.
Yes.
That was Silver Discoverer. That time, I would say the ship is not existing anymore.
Okay.
But it was a lovely small ship, which I started to be, of course, collecting information. I started to Google the company itself, the itineraries, the ship itself, so I could check online all the itinerary which I will be doing, and I was so fascinated. I was so fascinated already with French Polynesia, right? The Fiji, I happened to be that lucky that we were waiting for the ship for 5 days in Fiji, so I
explored.
Of course, the excursions and exploring all around, taking the all possible excursions that they could offer to me, going for massage, and enjoying a hotel there. I'm really like
you're like an adventurer, is what I gauge. It's
I
like
have to,
exploring adventurer can't sit in one place.
I have to honestly teach that many of my colleagues before when we are like, come on, let's do something. Jesus, like just don't just sit here and let's but it's still the same and still the same. But how many times have you been out?
Right.
I haven't been out here yet. In how many years? In 10 years.
Wow.
Come out, immediately.
Yes.
So then I appeared on a Fiji. I waited for the ship. We were sailing the French Polynesia Islands, Bora Bora, Tahiti, Vanuatu, and Solomon Islands and all that areas. So it was a tropical area.
Right.
It was all about the sun and sunbathing and so on. Not for me, but for the guests.
For the guests, But I'm sure you can also take some time off, right?
Is it? Not that time actually, because again, first contract in a new company, and how it
I
is.
get it.
First contract and everything, you focus. And I became a safety officer actually there. Directly like that. So that was a new role for me.
Okay.
New position. So I had to learn everything. Being a safety and there is no safety officer position on the cargo ship actually, but third officer mostly is fulfilling the maintenance of the life-saving firefighting equipment. However, on passenger ships, this requires managing whole emergency organization, right, with the hundreds of thousands of crew members, which you need to do the trainings to all emergency unit, which you have maybe 16 or 20 on board, and it's a really lot of job and lot of work for a safety officer, one of the demanding roles.
Right, so many lifeboats, so many life-saving appliances.
Yes, definitely.
So it's a designated role.
Accidents, incidents on board, the crew, passengers.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So okay.
All of that, and so I think I was on board like a week or two. And I embarked with the head of crewing that time. I remember I embarked with the head of crewing with a technical superintendent, 2 technical superintendent, and head of crewing, which they met me already in a hotel. We already had a dinner together, so I
Right.
got to know them already. Okay. And then we came to... No, we didn't even came to the ship. Already when I was in the hotel, the head of crewing lady, she mentioned that, oh, Ivana, by the way, there is like a small plan change for you, planned, but not yet finalized. But you might be going to Antarctica in 2 months. So I didn't even embark that ship, and she already told me that they are planning,
Wow.
rotation
Yes.
somehow, and then I might be going to Antarctica. And I was just like, really? Okay, I just received this information that time, and then I went on board. I got to know my colleagues. I got to know my very good friend until now, the female captain from Switzerland.
Wow.
Yes, there was a female captain at that time,
Okay.
taking over from the other captain.
Right.
So we spent 2 months together. There also, she was very supporting. She was very helping, assisting. She was very much encouraging. When they started to talk with my other colleague about Antarctica, about the navigation in ice,
Yes.
I was a little bit like, again, my eyes went full of excitement,
Yes.
but also
Some fear.
a bit fear,
Yeah.
scared. Okay, I'm navigating here in the French Polynesia, open sea,
Nothing
Not
much.
much to do.
Not much to do. And
That's not a Singapore or so on.
right.
And now I'm supposed to be going to Antarctica between the ice. And they were mentioning, the ice, the iceberg, the crawlers. That's the small parts of the ice you have cut from the icebergs, and this and that. And I didn't understand absolutely anything. I remember how I couldn't understand that time. How can we actually navigate in this ice? I was having so many questions all the time that they said, like, Ivana, you will just see. Don't ask anymore, just see.
Yeah.
You will see later,
Because for me right now, I'm visualizing that it's an ice sheet on which you're navigating, not water, right?
Well, no,
Yeah?
no, we are not icebreakers, right?
Oh, not icebreakers, yeah, okay, yeah.
But this is what you
This is
imagine.
I'm imagining, yeah.
Yes, I think my imagination was the same, right? That you have the fast ice and you go and how,
How is the ship?
But then later you got to know that you are not an icebreaker,
yes.
so you don't do such.
Such a relief. Must be that.
Again, I'm not sure I'd ever work on icebreaker, but when you are in an icebreaker, so you just you go through that ice slowly. It's a plenty work for sure, and it's a different requirements and different operation.
Right.
But what we do and operations, what we do and our navigation in ice, it's actually that we are slaloming between the pieces of the ice, right? So actually you have to be vigilant a lot. And radar is showing you, radar is detecting your pieces of the ice, but you can't always, most of the time, you can't just simply rely on that.
Right.
You have one lookout, you have additional lookout, you have yourself. There were and watches when I spent literally 4 hours with binoculars like that, standing, binoculars and simply giving an orders to the helmsman, and 4 hours going through the Nayyar channel, for example, in Antarctica.
It's like Mumbai traffic.
Oh, well, actually, very similar, just with the difference that you don't stop.
Yeah.
You don't stop.
You keep moving,
need to
that's
go.
it.
It's not possible to
It's
ride
better.
with the ship to stop, go. Oh my God, imagine chief engineer, calling to the bridge all the time,
Right. Yeah, I mean, so how was it when you saw Antarctica and, did you manage to see some penguins and sea lions or something?
Definitely, of course, yeah. It was I don't remember the first moment really. I don't know. I think I was so overwhelmed that it was everything in one point.
Right.
I moved from Polynesia. I traveled to Ushuaia. That's
where is this?
Ushuaia. It's a city in Argentina, which is like south, right? Which most of the companies are operating from Ushuaia. Okay. So you have embarkation of the guest, embarkation of the crew, mostly there. Okay. Some of the other companies opted for Punta Arenas or Puerto Williams, but mostly it's Ushuaia, which I have spent so much time of my career and so many years, and I explore everything around. And I even have a friends there in Ushuaia because when we are there, we are there for 4 months. The Antarctic season is from November, end of October, beginning of November, until March, middle of March. That's the summer down there.
Got it.
That's our European winter.
Yes.
The coldest winter, but that's the summer there. Yeah.
So 4 months you're based out of that location, and you go to Antarctica and come back.
Oh, well, no.
No,
Mostly we do the ship is always in a movement.
Right.
It's always, ship is having that
Yes.
itinerary.
Yes.
And it's mostly you do, I will say just an example of some of the companies I worked for, which they opted for these areas and itineraries. You will complete the Antarctica season from October to March, and then you need to get to Arctic right at the season because we do Arctic, Antarctica. So Antarctica is October to March,
Right.
and then you need to get to Arctic for
The summer.
June, July, August.
Peak summers.
Yes, so you need to get there through. Depend. You can go through America basically, or you can go through Western Africa. And this is what I just did, my last contract. And we did Western Africa. We finish Antarctic season, and then we do the route which we called Cape to Cape. And that's a Cape Horn in Argentina to Cape Town.
Oh, South Africa.
We arrive to Cape Town, and then we do all the west coast of Africa.
Yeah.
Arriving through up there to Morocco, going to Spain, Portugal.
Yes.
And on the north of Europe.
Right.
And then proceeding to UK.
Yeah.
And then reaching Norway and Norway, UK, and then continuing to Svalbard. So you do the Arctic then, which is Svalbard, Greenland, and Canadian Arctic plus Iceland.
So you've been there also?
Yes,
And you've been there
definitely.
also?
Yeah.
Which is better?
Many years. Depends.
It depends.
Antarctica is fantastic. It's fascinated. It's so, peace of mind when you are there. All the pure nature and the calmness and literally peace of mind.
Yeah.
And then you are having Svalbard, which is also interesting areas, but I think for me more interesting was the Greenland when I first time arrived.
Yeah.
When I first time also, like, what do you imagine as Greenland? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, of course. It's for us, like Greenland must be a full forest area, and then for us, like a context.
If you come out from the Greenland,
like
right?
Greenland.
But,
Okay. For normal viewers, they haven't heard Greenland. Must be a green place.
Okay, we
But
are imagining it like, you have this Eskimo people with living in igloo and it's completely frozen. That's what we know from the fairy tales,
Right.
and that there is how you are thinking how really they can live and survive there in so minus 40, 50 and whatever. And then you're going to arrive to Greenland, to capital of Greenland, which is the city called Nuuk, Nuuk. And you see the buses and you see the restaurants, hotels, bars, and you have a shopping mall, and you have you have a local
city.
TV, a running city, and a church, and so on. And so this was really surprising for me.
So it's habitated, like it's not a isolated part of the world.
Some of the parts there are isolated, but then you are having really the cities which are accessible, which are habitated, which we are regularly visiting.
Right,
That's Nuuk is the biggest one. And then you are having the cities there like Sisimiut or Nanortalik and Itokwartormiit and this is
You're
such a
already
nice-
excited. I see the excited. Yeah, I'm sure you loved it, I guess.
I'm going to go there just in a couple of weeks.
You're going there now?
Yeah, I'm joining in Iceland and Reykjavik, but we go to Greenland.
Okay, so just for context, ma'am is going for sailing in the next 2 days.
Yes.
Yes, beautiful, ma'am. While you were saying West Africa, ma'am, have you encountered pirates by any chance?
We didn't encounter the pirates, but we went through a whole set of procedures and precautions to not encounter the pirates.
Yeah,
So
it's like a very high risk area, right?
As I mentioned, just my last contract, I had it. I embarked actually in Ushuaia, and then I was having the captain in Cape Town who joined me, and together we have implemented all the security procedures. I'm a staff captain, I'm ship security officer, SSO. So I needed to actually follow all the procedures which were
Required.
sent and required and directly to us by the company. And we were having the escorts, for example. So there
Armed security.
armed escorts. We were having securities on board, not armed. The securities on board, two gentlemen, which were continuously sailing with us whole month.
Right.
And then we were having boat escorts, which were following us. The armed boat escorts, which were following us behind us, actually twice in the two areas.
Okay.
And then we needed to set up procedures like to establish the citadel, for example, in the inside of the ship. And we needed to train and inform all crew about that. We were having a long security briefing for everyone in our Explorer lounge so that everybody would know what to do in case of something would happen. We were additionally also guarding and protecting our aft of the ship because my recent ship that I work on is having marina. So it's having the marina like the yachts are having.
Oh, so it's open?
It's open completely. You have even stairs down, you know? So it's not really like on cargo ships or some cruise ships you used to also with the bars. You also have a bars of the aft mooring station and so on, right? But this was completely exposed. So we were actually installing the wires. I was buying still in Cape Town
all the
razor wires. Yes, and we were installing it all. Sorry.
That's
we were
good.
installing it all around.
Yes.
And the net, the wire net all around, plus installing the razor wires. Yeah.
So
also in the gangway areas and many other areas on the ship.
So, have you ever had the fear of such, like not just pirates, but at sea, have you had a fearful experience where you thought, like you just explained the one in the storm with the tall boats, but while on the cruise time, when you became like in the managerial positions, have you had some kind of a encounter where you're really fearful?
Really fearful? Not really. Like I do not really remember the exact situation. Of course, there are the situations that you need to deal with as it comes. This different kind of, let's say, not really fully emergency situations, but the situations which are not very comfortable. Yeah. We were having. I did not really experience the the huge fire on board, but we were having twice smoke detected, one time in steering gear room, one time in boat thruster room. So we had to go to the emergency alarm assessment parties and general emergency alarm and so on. And we need to act accordingly, right? The fire teams and all the procedures that we know. And for example, we were having stowaway now. Just last year, I had a stowaway in a Greece port of Piraeus.
Okay.
So that was quite a
challenge. It's a big
challenging situation. I was having my team, which I had to coordinate, and I had to send them for the search and keeping a track and everything, which was really like, there was a little bit like a decision making if to do so or not, because we have a special codes for that, for the security. It's like also, it's not really on the cargo ships implemented. You have 3 alarms or 2 alarms, but then we are having the codes on the passenger ships, so that passengers would not be alerted and panicked unnecessarily. So it makes sense, everything. Makes sense. So we just broadcast the code Bravo, which is fire, for example, code Charlie, which is the bomb search, or code Echo, which is an evacuation, and so on. And and then you need to coordinate all that situation. So we have managed to find the stowaway in one of the lifeboats. It was a very interesting situation for me, especially as I said, I was having my team of the ratings because I was chief officer responsible for the deck, something like a chief officer on board cargo ships actually. So the stability officer and responsible for the maintenance. So having a bosun and ratings, just not like 5, but 17, plus carpenters, plus security guards, actually like 23 members of the team. Wow. And they have reported for the first time that the area was clear. And I don't know, something was not right. I felt something is not right. And I have just taken the teams and I sent them once again to the same area. Okay. And once again, when they went there, they were calling me back because it was not a bomb search, right? But they used to, they don't use the radios, but they were calling me to Boston store and they said we found the suspect, lifeboat number 4. The area which was already cleared. So that's interesting. All this decision making, some kind of feelings, maybe instincts that you are having in such a situations.
So how's your day on a ship, like as a staff captain? How does it start and how does it end? And what are the things you're doing generally?
Staff captain. I'm very much like a multi-function staff captain. Yeah. It is like the smaller ship you work on, the I having a feeling at least, or I mean, it is like that. The staff captain has more and more responsibilities because on the bigger ships you have more officers. So in the bigger ships, everybody has like a separate role. But here in the company that I just worked in, so I'm a staff captain, which means that I'm a head of department, right? So I have my team of bosun, ordinary seamen, able seamen, carpenter. And I'm taking care of, for example, the maintenance, right? So maintenance of the interior and exterior as well. We know it like from the cargo ship, as a chief officer takes care of the
Exteriors, yeah.
and the anchors and the tank inspections and the deck itself, chipping, painting, washing, and so on. Plus here, additionally on passenger ships, we have all the interior, So we have all the luxury interior. We have the chairs, sofas, we have the carpets, we have the wooden benches, also on the external decks and so on. So this is everything.
A lot of maintenance and taking care of things, I guess.
That's all falls under the responsibility of staff captain and his carpenters. So, the varnishing, polishing also, changing the carpets and so on. It's a little bit like the interior designer sometimes.
Yeah, I was saying like a house, you have to...
If I need to change something from inside, I have to be looking for the exact material and compatible materials and the colors and everything, and checking with the company owners, right?
Yes, correct.
Because, and the hotel department and the hotel superintendents, because they are the one decision making on that, how the interior looks like, right? We are here the manual manpower, but for the interior design and so on, the owner has to have a final word. How does it supposed to be? How does it supposed to look like? And I have to cooperate with them. And so on. So that's a maintenance point of view. Then I'm a ship's environmental officer. So on the bigger cruise ships, you have a separate role for that.
Oh, okay.
Ship's environmental officer. So I'm taking care of all the waste on board, basically, which needs to be starting from the garbage, which is also on the cargo ships. But here on the cruise ships, we are having in much more quantities.
Yeah, of course. I can imagine passengers.
Passengers, crew.
Someone said this to me. The most toughest cargo to carry is human, not in terms of, to maintain it. That's why they were like, I asked someone that, would you want to go on a cruise ship? Said, no, cargo ship, the cargo does not speak.
I heard that also many times.
So said, what he meant was it's tough to manage humans, if I may. Like, it's tough to manage humans?
Well, it is. So for this, I have like two aspects of my job also to add, because you talk about the human as a guest, right?
Yes.
But on the other hand, we still have humans on board, which are crew, right? And which is not 10 or 20 crew members, which is hundreds. Imagine that it's hundreds of crew members or thousands of crew members on the mega ships. And this is something what you have to manage as well. So first of all, the part of my job also in regards to managing our guests is also to be interacting with them. So part of the jobs of staff captain and generally all the senior officers is to interact with the guests, to talk to them, to greeting them. Of course, this is a basic thing. But for example, also to attend the dinner with them and to entertain them and to basically always to be ready to answer the question, any question which they might have. It's also, I'm teaching my boys, my team there, even though they are ratings, it's like kind of not being expected from them to reply always like, what time is the lunch? And because it's like a hotel staff. But I'm always reminding them that you should, guys, be a little bit interested, right? Because you should be able to be having an answer for the guests. Also, like my team as a deck department needs to be informed about the hotel operation, what activities are happening on board. Exactly. What time is the lunch? What time is dinner? Where is the lunch today? Is it in the club lounge or is it in the restaurant? Which restaurant? And
it's tough, right? I mean, what the comparison was this? You have both the experiences. On cargo ship, it's a streamlined operation. You do it, you get back, whatever you want to do in your free time. On cruise ship, I think it's tougher because, like you, in your position, you have to manage the crew as well as the guests. So it's like a double time work, if I may,
Well, it's still its primary job of really comforting and managing the guests is a job of the hotel manager, for example, expedition leader and a hotel team and an expedition team. But as I said, and I mentioned now, everybody is involved, right? So even us as a deck department and even the engine department, which does not very much like and accept this part of the job. But
I love this. Deck versus engine is one of the standards.
They have chosen the career at sea and on the passenger ship. So they need to adapt as well, and especially in senior positions like a chief engineer. But we also have a staff chief engineer position. It's something like staff captain, but in engine, it's the reefer engineer, for example, is a chief electrician. It's different
all
positions.
Departmental heads separately.
Yeah.
Unlike chief engineer managing everything, electrical officers have a chief superintendent, like chief, someone to report.
Exactly, yes.
It's categorized.
And then you have a reefer, section, you have electrical section, and you have staff chief who is managing the ratings of the engine room, and you have hotel engineer sometimes.
Okay.
So sometimes you even have a hotel engineer separately who takes care of the repairs in hotel specifically. Right. So that's the repairing of the coffee machines, of the fridges, of this, of that. And
very important.
Very important, because
yes.
that influences the satisfaction of the guest at the end, you know? That is what is our goal.
It's like a totally different world, which I am, imagining. But you've been on both sides, so you can exactly say that. Like, okay, let's talk about. Would you ever want to go back to cargo ships now? No. And
I would tell you, straight. I was thinking about that many times. I kind of expected such question, I would say.
Yeah.
And I would, and I say no.
No?
Now, when I can compare, it would be very difficult right now. It's nothing wrong in the cargo industry, right? Or whatever. I had experienced that. Yep. That's why I'm so grateful about that experience. Yeah. I know the other side, but it would be very difficult right now to be adjusting to be back, especially, not about the job, it's also the somehow strange or maybe not fully right the perception of the cargo ship officers that the job is more difficult on the cargo ships than us on the cruise ships and so on.
That's why I know. This is how they
but we were here talking about the human element and everything. Yes, so it's a more psychological psychology, diplomacy, politics a little bit. What you have to learn there in the cruise industry. So. When I'm saying that I would not come back to cargo, I'm not saying it because it's so much difficult job now and it's so easy life on the cargo ship, because I don't honestly think so at all, job-wise.
Yes.
But because of the socializing mostly. And socializing, having people around you, and being every day somewhere, being every day in the port, right? Not having the long stays at anchor, long transatlantic crossings, maybe even 3 times per contract, go from here to there, and
nothing. It gets boring. I'll be very honest.
I can imagine,
and it gets isolating also.
Isolating,
nothing much.
Bored, which cannot happen on the cruise industry. We spoke about 2 days ago on the phone when I told you that.
Correct.
It's I can't imagine that somebody can be bored or can be even lonely or can be isolated on the cruise ship. We have cases. I'm having cases when sometimes we have maybe female crew members, maybe from the Asian countries, which having the strong bonds and which are missing the family. First contracts, we are having now many freshers.
Yep.
So yes, I'm having such cases. I'm experiencing it, because coming back to the roles of staff captain still, and we came from guests. Now we are coming to the crew member.
Right.
Since we are small ship, I'm also the ship's not really human resource manager, but I am ship's disciplinary officer.
Right.
So we do not have HR department. You also cannot imagine that, because there are no HR managers, officers, or department on the cargo
ships,
with 20 crew members. But imagine the ship again with hundreds and thousands of people. Every little bit bigger company ashore here in the offices, IT company or whatever, ashore, based ashore, having a human resources department, right? Yes. So as such, the crew ship with hundreds or thousands of crew members, of course, there must be a human
Someone
resources.
to report to, right?
Yes, someone to report. I mean, anything. The human resources department is dealing with the rotation of the crew, extensions, resignations, with the salaries, if there is something, with the bonuses, with overtimes, with the complaints, right? With the complaints about the cabin mates. I want to change the roommate. I want to change the cabin, and then specifically also mental health stuff,
Right, absolutely.
and the bullying, harassment cases, for example.
Right.
This is the job of the human resources department,
So they come to you, if
which is missing in our ship and in my company recently.
Yes.
That's job role
Of-
of staff captain at the moment.
It's-
So that's why I know the cases, and I was having the crew members approaching me with different kind of requests, cases, and so on.
So, ma'am, how when do you start your day? What time? Is it like 4 a.m. or? Yeah, I mean, is it?
Not so, only when
Yeah.
we have really early arrival, but this is mostly not happening.
Okay.
I would say 5:30 is my wake-up call,
Right.
6 maybe,
Right.
so that we arrive at the destination. When we have pilot, so then we set it up like half an hour before pilot, I'm already on the bridge, right?
Right.
However, since we are sailing and I do the expedition, in Antarctica and Arctic, we do not have a pilots. We are pilots ourselves. We are not in the ports. We are not parking the ship every day. So we...
How can I join this? Yeah.
trying dedication, determination,
Right. Yes.
a couple of weeks, months, maybe.
Yes, absolutely. No, but yeah, it's so much fun. This is the fun of sailing. For me, I think that's the fun of being a sailor.
It's dynamic.
It's dynamic,
It's
right?
dynamic, incomparable to to cargo life. Then,
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, the unfortunate part for the Indian officers in the Navy, which I have spoken to many, is that in the cruise ship industry, still the navigation side, the Indians are not very much there. The engine side, I think cruise ships are recruiting heavily. Some of my batchmates have also been on big cruise liners as engineers. But I think the officer side is still lacking. But let's see, maybe in the near future, they might change that. But we all aspire. We all, look at cruise ships and how they, like you said, Antarctic, Arctic, and you can go out. In the cargo ship, I'm very sure you cannot even go out because of the operations, less crew, and turnaround times.
definitely.
So-
And then you are thinking, right, something for something, and you are sacrificing your sleep. Then if you do 6 to 6 on board as a deck watch, right,
Yes,
and then you
right.
are standing on the manifolds, and you have literally 6 to 6.
Already so tired from that, and then you want to sleep, but
You choose to go out, and then you miss that gap of the sleeping, and then you come back
Direct
and
6.
directly on the to CCR or to deck watch or whatever. Yeah, so,
and 6 hours straight again.
Yes.
It's
I know, I remember.
Unfortunately, this is the reality. I mean, people keep asking me, "Sir, can we roam around the world?" You'll see all the ports. This is what I say to them. But from your perspective, yes, that line. Which is the favorite place you've ever been to? The most beautiful. Yeah.
I really literally I love Antarctica. I love Antarctica. I love to be coming back there. I love Greenland places, as I mentioned. This is something, really special, unusual. This is what we do. This is how I started in the cruise industry, right thrown into expedition one, right? And right as a ice and polar navigator, I decided later on to quit that job because I wanted to come back to sea to collect the necessary sea time to obtain my license, my Master Mariner license. I felt that time that something was not here. Something was not completed.
Heart was not full with the shore job, right?
Yes, my career at sea was not completed by that. I didn't feel like right moment and right place, and right job. So I was really dedicated to the fact that I do really want to get the master license. If I have studied so much, worked so many years and really worked hard on that I really want to achieve that. Especially knowing that the fact that I would be the first female of my home country, it was driving
congratulations.
me. Thank you
for
so
that,
much.
ma'am.
But
Yes.
this was really driving me.
Yes.
Driving me ahead.
Yes.
And that was the time when I arrived to India afterwards for the first time.
You came to Mumbai directly?
It was having like 15 minutes of intro, but...
Yeah. It's been a really great, insightful talk, which I have personally gained from, and especially I gained a lot of learnings from how to keep going on with the same determination for extended periods of time. So I think thank you for that. And like I said, women seafarers, they message me a lot, being very honest, that is it safe or not? So while speaking to them, I'm sure a lot of clarity must have come. And thank you for coming in such a short notice, ma'am. And I think you'll have to come back again after another experience of some place, and you have to tell me, and we'll have a chat again with the same roller coaster journey, because it's so gripping and powerful with the stories from tall ship to cruise ship to cargo ship. True inspiration. I'm very happy we could have you here, ma'am. Anything more you want to add?
I just thank you so much for inviting me.
Pleasure,
even for that short notice, I'm really extremely happy that I came and to share the experiences.
Absolutely,
and that which could be inspirational for someone, for the ladies, females, but not even for all the future seamen, seafarers who like to pursue this career.
Right.
And I will gladly come again in some time.
Thank you,
so
ma'am.
much. Thank you.
Thank you for coming here. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks. That was Captain Ivana for you all. I don't know how I managed to just get her on the show, but very grateful she could make it. And I hope you all like this episode. It was full of adventure, and it was like a roller coaster ride for all of us inside the room as well. Do let me know in the comment section if you felt the same. Along with that, also, please tag in the comment section who all women seafarers are still sailing on board and you would love to have them here on this show. I'll do my best to get them. Signing off, KSN.